Hi everybody, welcome to another tutorial on BeakMaker 3. In this video I'd like to go through the global pad parameters under the editor view. So I just loaded BeakMaker 3. Let's click on a new session. Okay, let's exit that view and let's click here where it shows a waveform, and this is the editor view. We're going to focus on this part of the editor for this video, which is the global pad or pads parameters. Okay, let's start from the top. Here we have the name of the bank. It says bank 01. If we click on the three dots, we can load a bank itself. Let's, for example, load Ashes Kit 01, and let's click on load bank. Okay, let's click on the exit to exit that view. So we have loaded now a sample for each bank. As you can see, every time I change a pad, you can see the new waveform here on the sampler. Now, let's check the Midi configuration first of all. Let's go here to the settings, and let's click here on Bluetooth, as I have my Akai Professional. It is already connected, perfect, and let's click on the sync here, which is already clicked. So now we can use the Akai LPK25 wireless Bluetooth as the input device. Perfect. Let's go back to the editor view. So let's go through a couple of things first of all. So let's click on the settings here again, and for the bank, and let's check the MIDI setup. So here on the MIDI input, you can decide what port do you use. In this case, the Akai makes sense because that's the one which we have in use. The channel that we're using, and the mode, which can be single channel or multi-channel. Notice that when you select multi-channel, the channel is set automatically to all in terms of receiving from all channel. Let's stick to the single channel for now. Here you can decide also the MIDI output in terms of port and also the channel, as when you click a pad you can generate a MIDI event. Now let's stick to single channel and let's exit. Now let's go back to my Akai controller. If I click on some key, nothing happens. Let's go lower of an octave. Nothing happens. Again, another octave lower, another lower, and then another lower. So practically in single mode, every time I press a note, the corresponding note will be triggering one specific pad. So I'm at the lower part of my range on my external MIDI controller, and on that I can trigger for each of the note a different pad. Okay, now if I go on the setting here and I select enable keys, now what happens is for the pad that is active, now I will be playing chromatically that pad over the keyboard. I'm going up the range. Okay. If let's select another pad, this will be the same. Okay, let's disable now keys. Now let's go back under the MIDI setup. If I select instead of single channel, multi-channel, what will happen is that I will play chromatically per channel. So for example, channel number 1 will trigger pad number 1, and as I have that MIDI selected as 1, I will play chromatically that pad over the keyboard. If I change the input MIDI channel through my MIDI controller to pad number 2, then I will play pad number 2 sample chromatically through the keyboard. So that's the main difference. Okay, so let's come out from here. Let's go through other options. As usual, you have here the ability to load bank, save the bank, rename them, set the paths to 64, the clear specific path, do a MIDI export, look at your MIDI setup, which we have seen, and change the color as well. Underneath here, you have other three dots. Here you can enable the keys for the particular path, rename it, delete it, copy, paste, change again the MIDI setup, localize for that path, and also change the color again. Here, as you can see, you can go up different pages for different paths, and you can also click select to select different paths. Okay, perfect. Of course, when you click select, the path will not play when you select it. Okay, now let's stick to channel. Here you have a dial for volume. So lower volume or higher volume. Here you have your pan, left and right channel. Perfect. If you double click on it, you can set, you can change the percentage. Here with the arrow left and right, you can reset it. Or if you double click again, you can also access the macro control as well, which we'll look at in a later tutorial. Now, we also have send 1 and send 2, which will enable you to send to the auxiliary track 1 and 2 for effects, which again we'll see in another tutorial. So depending on what you have set to those tracks, you have different effects. Okay, then you have the selection of a choke group, and this is to reduce polyphony, to avoid that two samples are played at the same time. So let's say that this sample is on choke group number 1, and this one is also on choke group number 1. Let's see, if I press that pad here, and as it's playing, I press this pad here, you will see that this first pad will stop. Okay, because they cannot play together. Now let's remove the choke group. The lead group is practically the opposite. It is about playing together. So if I say that that pad play is linked to group number 1, and this pad is linked to group number 1, when I play either pads, both sample will play. Okay, let's set this to no, to done. And here we can also set the pad note, which you see also changing on the keyboard underneath, which is the base note for the pad, so C3. Okay, so we have looked at how to use the different options under channel. Now let's have a look also at the samples tab. So let's click on a different pad, like this one. As you can see under sample, it says there is a layer which will be used to add effects, as you can see here. And under that layer you have one sample, ak-hat.wave. You can mute that pad, or you can also click on the dot to delete that pad. You can also click on the dot corresponding to the layer and also delete that layer. Now, for the purpose of the tutorial, let's click on recording here. Let's select as an input, hardware input, my headset microphone. And then what we are going to do is click on start and record something. 1. And I click on start to stop again. Now let's click the X, and you can see the recording here. And what you can see is BeakMaker has also created a second layer with a second sample. Now if I play that pad, both samples will be played. 1. 1. Now you can mute the last sample, or you can do the opposite with the previous sample. 1. 1. What you can do also, you can now, if you click on the dot, move a particular sample to a different layer, like so. Everything is on layer number 1, okay? Or you can, you can Click on that and select under the three dots and also say move to a new layer, and it will create the previous layer. And of course, if you don't want this, click on the three dot and click delete. And the reason that there are layers is you will see in the a later tutorial that under the tab layer effects here, you can apply different effects to different layers. So it becomes important how you use it. Okay, hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you next time. Bye.